Hi, welcome back. That's the hard bit actually, cleaning up the plants, getting off all the old media, doing the hydrogen peroxide spray and everything. That's what takes the time. I always take advantage while I've got a plant in the sink to give the leaves a nice wash as well, so that by the time it's repotted it's all nice and shiny clean. Anyway, let's get on. Managed to keep the tags with the plants. I will do new tags, but I need the old ones to tell me what to do. Now, strictly speaking, I should take that sheath off, but that new growth is too young. If I start trying to get that off with the scissors, because it won't tear, it's too good, I could damage the new growth, and that's not on. Right, decision made. These have all got quite chunky root systems. They're going in air cone pots, which means they have extra ventilation in the bottom. Yeah? So they're just going in medium bark, nothing else. My theory with the Orchiata bark is it's going to last for years. That's what it's proposed to do. And as a consequence of it going to last for years, if I put moss in with it, I'm just deteriorating the quality of the bark on the grounds that the moss will break down a hell of a lot quicker than the bark will. So I'll end up repotting sooner. And that sort of defeats the object of paying the extra money for the Orchiata bark. Now, I never thought of that. Somebody else told me that. Another good YouTuber friend. It's good to have friends. They help you out. They put ideas in your head that you might not have thought of yourself. We can't all think of everything all the time. Okay? Being of the Oncidium type, despite my reluctance to call Odontoglossums Oncidiums, these are going to get a fair bit of air round the roots, which is why I've chosen the medium bark. The back bulb, which I want to push once I've got the media in behind it, I will now push the whole plant back a bit so that that back bulb is up against the edge. That gives the new growth somewhere to go. Now, this is a gentle process today. These are quite sturdy roots, but nonetheless they're brittle. You start poking around too hard with your fingers, you'll break the little tips off of the new roots. And once you do that, I mean, this particular type of plant's got branching roots, so if you break a tip, providing it's not too young, it'll probably push on. And because I'm using medium bark, if I get a bit near the base of the bulbs, it's not the end of the world, because that'll be the first bit to dry out. And that's it, short and sweet. Gentle tap down, if you call that gentle. And quite honestly, these have got good enough root systems, they don't need staking. Word of warning if you get Orchiata bark, it is rock hard. That's why it lasts so long, it's good stuff. But I'll water that now. That'll need watering again tomorrow and probably the day after, and then every couple of days for several weeks. It takes a while to break the surface of this and allow it to take on board some moisture. It's quite a long time before it takes on a lot of moisture, which is why it lasts so long. But if I water that today, by tomorrow it'll be bone dry, and I don't want to let the roots get bone dry. So, word of warning, tag. Got three plants that look quite similar here, so we don't want to get messed up. Next one, I probably won't be able to do the last one, I'm going to run out of bark. I can just break off and come back again. Although once you've seen one, they're all the same, quite honestly. Next, different pot again. I had to go down in the shed and get some old pots and give them a good clean up. I don't go in that shed very often, and I didn't want to venture too deep. You don't know what's in there. It's dark and damp, and there could be things living in there that haven't been discovered yet. So we didn't spend a lot of time in there. We grabbed a couple of suitable sized pots and legged it and shut the door quick. I don't want to be in there. I must get in there and clean out sometime. Now this has got a nice base. Yeah, all three. The oldest bulb, which has still got leaves, so I'm not taking it off, despite my urge to want to and have a look at the rhizome. I'm not going to do it. And a good sturdy bulb, that's where the energy of the plant is, in this bulb. And that, at the moment, is what's feeding this. And luckily this bulb has still got a reasonable set of roots, so it can replenish its stocks as it uses them up here. And then eventually this one will put out its own root system, at which point these are less important. But nonetheless, if they're still viable and still working, you build up a nice lot of energy in a plant that are good. Right, again, I want this over to the back of the pot. Whole idea of using the Orchiata bark is that it's going to stay in here quite a while. And if it's going to stay in here quite a while, it needs room to grow. So, put the bark in first and then ease the plant back up against it. Yeah? And that leaves the new growth poking out at the front. Now again, I've got to go careful, these roots are brittle. So it's a teasing exercise, just gently tease them into place. This doesn't have to be a rock solid potting. These roots will fill this pot, fingers crossed, quite quickly. And that'll tie it all in together, and if there's a few air spaces on this type of plant, it's quite honestly not the end of the world, you know. In their natural environment, some of their roots would head off into space and end up being aerial roots, so it's not the end of the world if you've got a few that are near air spaces. Quite honestly, there's some plants like Cattleyas and some of these with the thicker roots, they almost seem to want to head into the airspace rather than into the media. It's almost as if they want to do it, because they do. Whereas I believe roots are totally random and they head off in a random direction and end up wherever they end up. And it's not planned, there is no logic to it, it's just how it happens. There we go, that's that one done. Tap down. That one can do with a stake. I will go and put a stake in and tie that one. It's where it's got such a big bulb, yeah? And if it wobbles like that, every time I pick that up, put it down, move it, touch a leaf against a shelf, I'm going to wobble it. And every time I wobble it, I'm in danger of breaking root tips. We don't want that. Okay, I'll just break off while I get some more media. Okay, and the last one. Yeah, I'm going to say it anyway. This one had a little old back bulb on here that was leafless. So it was serving no purpose, so I did take it off and I had a quick look. We're good. I don't want to spoil everybody's day again, including mine. Okie dokie. This is a good chunky root system on this one. Well pleased with this one. There's my new growth. Well, this is going to have to be a slightly wonky one to get that new growth where I want it. So I put a bit of cinnamon on the bit where I broke the back bulb off, just to seal it. But quite honestly, it's going to be so near the surface, it's not really going to stay wet anyway. So there we go. Media around the back. Gently push in towards it. More media. Any wooden bits. This Orchiata bark is very good quality, but every now and again you find a stick, you know, or a piece that's not obviously bark, it's wood. And I just like to take it out. And somebody was saying on the comments on one of the videos, I don't know which, that they always pot with wet media. Well, given the gaps in these roots, if I was using wet media, it would all stick together and I'd end up with more gaps. Now, as I said, with a plant like this, that's not the end of the world, and quite honestly, as you water, over time, it'll settle down and probably fill those gaps anyway. But I like to start off, you know, without the gaps, if I can. And I've found that the best way for me to do that is to use dry media. It just works for me, and it's going to get an absolute flipping soak as soon as I go in the grow room anyway. Yeah, this one's going to need a stake as well. There we go, just a little bit round the base of that one for when the new roots do come out. Yeah, that's definitely going to need a stake. if I can get a little bit to sit on those top roots. Although they've had their ends cut off, they probably, no, it's not worth it, they won't grow. Right, so that's all 3 done. And I will replace their tags, and I will now go and give them a good soak, and then I'll have to do that again tomorrow. So that's those 3. I had been dreading those simply because I really didn't want to find a rubbish root system in the pot, because 2 of them are quite precious to me. I don't get that attached to orchids, they're not like buddies. I don't take them up in the bedroom and put them on the bedside cabinet and all that stuff. But, you know, 2 of them would be very difficult to replace should I lose them. And I'm pleased that they had good root systems. So, what's the date today? I think it's the 18th today. Yeah, Saturday anyway. So this will probably get posted tomorrow morning. I've already posted 2 today. 1 bad one, followed by a nice good one. So this one could probably wait till tomorrow. Saves me filming tomorrow. I'll still have something to do. But, you know, this sort of video, doesn't matter what day of the week you do it, does it? Okay, hope you've enjoyed that. As I said, my potting demonstrations are merely that it takes me no more time to do my potting with the camera running on a tripod than it does without. So I just as well film it. You never know, there could be new people dropping in who haven't seen me repot a plant before. And new people and all that sort of stuff. So, and on those lines, somebody said, can I do a mounting video? And I said, well, I've done some already. I didn't plan on particularly doing another one. And I put links to those mounting videos on the grounds that, you know, they're a bit fiddly to film. But because people have asked about the knots again, and several people have said, can I do another one because I'm new and this, that and the other, I will. You know, I said I'd do requests. I'm not doing Give Me the Moonlight or anything like that, but I will do potting and mounting requests. So when I find another one that I plan on mounting, which I haven't got anything in mind at the moment, but when I do, I'll do it, and I'll do it slowly, and I'll show the knots, and I'll go over it carefully as though I've never done one before. That's the best I can do. But don't hold your breath, it's not going to be immediate. Okay, hope you've enjoyed that. See you next time. Happy growing, happy potting. It's that time of year, but I'm going to immediately retract that sentence. The time of year is irrelevant. The time to repot your plant is when the plant needs repotting, either as an emergency because it's in totally rubbish media, or because it's got those good signs of new roots coming out. These were bordering on emergencies. They've been in their pots far too long. And because I've now taken them out of their pots, I now know how they grow, and they don't push out their new roots with the new growths. The new roots come when the growths are virtually mature. Yeah? So this is actually not a bad time, because in the not too distant future, this new growth will push out its new roots, and it will get into some nice shiny new media and not need disturbing for ages. See you next time. Bye for now.